Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode of the J&G Sports Network podcast. I'm Jay and that's G.
What's up?
And today we are here with our playoff scenario if the playoffs start today. Obviously, the playoffs don't start today. We got about 10 to 15 games left, and kind of how the teams are shaking up right now.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but I think at this point in time, personally, I think like we talked about before the show, the playoffs are kind of. I think the playoffs are kind of locked. I think the teams that are in now are going to be the teams that make it. Obviously,
Probably.
you don't know. Something could always change. And I figured, right before the playoffs start, we can do another one of these with the official rankings. But before we get into that, G over there has a segment he would like to start off with.
So going off of the playoff thing, if they ended right now, Toronto is slated as a 7 seed and Brooklyn as an 8 seed. So they'd be playing that playing game in Toronto, which means Kyrie could not play in Toronto, which means practically KD's gonna have to do it himself. And again, that's thing. And then if they lose that game, then they're going to be playing the Hawks or Hornets in Brooklyn, and Kyrie's still not going to be able to play.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's going to be kind of like last year, KD versus the world for them first two games, and then part of the series against Miami or Milwaukee, depending on what they do against Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie's really gonna. They're really gonna miss him not being able to play in those playing games if they shake up how they're looking right now. In single game eliminations, I think Kevin Durant's still good enough to win you games, but I think you feel way more comfortable to have Kyrie Irving in the game for you.
Brooklyn does have a little bit of comfortness because they are about 2 games ahead of Atlanta in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
So they do have a little bit of comfort to where they don't have to win both. They could lose the first one, but then win the second one in home court. It just shakes down to how Kevin Durant is going to play and if the supporting cast can pick up the pieces that Kyrie is going to leave laying there.
Yep. Okay, so let's just – is that all, or do you have more to add to that?
That's all I got right now for that.
Okay. Well, then let's go ahead and get started, and we'll start with the Eastern Conference.
We'll start with the East
of the Nets and all that kind of stuff. So we can start with the play in the first game of the play-in, which is going to be the 9-10 seed, which is going to be the Hawks and the Hornets.
Looking at these, they're very similar teams.
Mm-hmm.
The Hawks are scoring about 113 points per game, and Charlotte's scoring about 115 points per game. They would be playing in Atlanta, and Atlanta at home is 22-13 so far this year, and Charlotte is 18-18 on the road. Similar records, but I do think that Trae Young is going to be good enough to win them that game.
Yeah, I think that pretty much what it boils down to. I think Trae Young's the best player on the floor in that matchup. I mean, LaMelo's proven himself to be a very good player at this point in time, but I'm going to take the established superstar in Trae Young. I think that Hawks team, I don't think they're much better than the Hornets. Boarding cast is better for Trae Young. I would give the edge to the Hawks in that one, which would officially eliminate the Hornets, correct?
Yeah, because it's a 1 game play-in unless you're the 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And the Hawks have been doing, I'm not going to say better, but they've only been allowing 112.1 compared to Charlotte's 114.9, which is 115.
Right.
So Hawks have been outscoring their opponents by just a little bit compared to the Hornets, who have basically just been even the entire season so far.
Yep. So then we can drop down to the 7-8 seed, which would be the Raptors and the Nets for the other first round play-in.
Looking at this, I don't like going against Kevin Durant because he's Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
But I think playing in Toronto is going to give the Raptors an edge. And playing at home, they're 17-15 so far. Now Brooklyn is 22-15 on the road. But I think playing in Toronto without Kyrie, Toronto is going to take the win. And their difference in points per game versus points per game is about 2. So I think that could factor in because they're only giving up about 107 points per game compared to Brooklyn's 112.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm gonna go on the other side. I think the Nets are gonna win this game. Obviously, Kyrie won't be able to play in Toronto. Ben Simmons, we have no idea if he's gonna play even at all this season now. Reports coming out about his back and all that kind of stuff, so might not play at all.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna suit up this year. If it is, it's gonna be late in the playoffs because then he's gonna see.
Is there really even a point? Because he hasn't played basketball in over a year now. Or at that point in time, it'll be,
Yeah, but we don't know what's been going on behind closed doors. So,
yeah.
I mean, anything can happen with him. He's just so unpredictable right now.
For sure. And I think I definitely think it's close because the Raptors all around going into that matchup without having Kyrie and Ben Simmons, most likely, the Toronto Raptors are now the better team all around.
Yes.
I think Kevin Durant is light years ahead of anybody on that Raptors team. I think
I can agree.
KD's a good 2 to 3 tiers higher than anybody on that Raptors team right now because, that's no disrespect, but Van Vliet and Siakam, they're all-stars. They're borderline all-stars or all-star potential players. But that's kind of it. You don't really, you know what I mean? Where Kevin Durant is solidified most like a top 3 to 5 player in the league, and he has been for almost his entire career. Even some season being compared as the best player in the league.
I think he is arguably the best scorer in the league right now and possibly all time.
And I think you saw last year in the Milwaukee series, which, yes, they ended up losing. But they went, was it 6 or 7? I think.
I'm not 100% sure about last year.
But, that was literally just all KD.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that Bucks team is way better than this Raptors team anyway. So I think if KD was able to shoulder that load for a series, I don't think he'll have any problem in a one-game elimination style.
So looking at because I went in and I'm looking at their depth chart, Toronto's depth chart. Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. are both sitting day to day, so they might not be playing. And OG Anunoby is out. So there goes 3 people in your starting lineup. So that means you're going to be relying on Scotty Barnes, a rookie, and Pascal Siakam to carry the load.
Yeah, but day to day for VanVleet and who was the other one?
Gary Trent Jr.
Day to day, they'll be back for the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if it happened right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
But in the future, yeah, you're right. They could be back, but OG, don't know how he's injured or what's going on with him. But who knows? He might be back for playoffs. He might not.
I don't know. I think I would take the Nets team in a one game.
And looking at this, I don't think there's anybody on this Toronto team that could actually guard KD straight up.
Nobody. I don't think anybody in the league.
You know what I mean? That can't even
step in front of him.
Yeah, really play him at all. I mean, maybe OG if he's back, but still.
Yeah, I wouldn't. So, who do you have in that one?
Toronto Nets. I got Toronto just because they're playing in Toronto, and you know how Toronto fans can be.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. We can definitely do that. Which would Toronto is the 7th seed, so that would put them solidified into the playoffs with that win.
Yes.
And then the Nets would now play who's the winner of our other one? The Hawks. Yes. So the Nets and the Hawks would play. It's playing tournament. Still kind of new. Still trying to get out the seeding. The Nets and the Hawks.
Honestly, either way, I think it's going to be Raptors and Nets in the playoffs because I don't see Atlanta even coming close to the Nets.
See, I find that strange that you take Toronto over the Nets but won't take the Hawks over the Nets.
My reasoning because of that is the Hawks only have Trae Young. And Trae Young, even though he came up last year in the playoffs, I just don't think that he's going to be able to win in Brooklyn in a play-in
Oh yeah,
win or
and
go home situation.
I definitely I have Brooklyn as well. I was just wondering your reason on that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it just Toronto. They got Scotty Barnes, a possible rookie of the year. They got Freddie. They got Pascal. They have better firepower and better players than the Hawks. That's why I'm taking Raptors over Nets. I mean Raptors over the Hawks.
okay, so then we both agree then the 7 and 8 seed will both still make it in the East.
Yes.
Okay. So then let's go ahead and do because I figure we can do the whole East up into the finals, and then we can do the West. Or do you want to do like play in for like all first rounds? How do you want to do that?
Let's get the East done, then we'll switch over and do the West.
Okay, we can do that. So now you have the 1 versus the 8 seed, which is the Miami Heat as of right now against the Brooklyn Nets.
That one is tough. Just looking off of stats here real quick. Miami's averaging about 110 points per game and allowing about 105. So they got about a 5-point spread there, a little bit lower. Their home record is a tad bit better than their away record, but they're still good either way.
Yes.
The thing that gets me, and it's not really a surprise, but Brooklyn's away record is 22-15 compared to the home record of 14-18, and that just proves how much Kyrie actually brings to the table when it comes to this.
For sure.
I think when it comes down to it, Kyrie is going to be able to play in Miami.
Yes.
It's going to go 7 games, in my opinion. It's going to go 7. If
See,
not 7, it's going to go 6.
That's something about the playoffs this year that's so great is that you have a team like the Nets who have 2 of the best players in the league, Kyrie and KD, because of certain situations lower in the standings than I think they typically would be in a normal year.
Oh yeah.
I think this Brooklyn team fully healthy and Kyrie be able to play every game is a top 4 or top 3 seed in the East.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna. Yeah, I think they're either above Chicago or they're gonna be above the 76ers.
Yeah, so it's like to have them as an 8 seed really makes it tough for a 1 seed because and that might sound weird because Miami is the 1 seed, but like I think Miami is, like I said earlier, Miami is the better all around team. I think by quite a bit on Brooklyn, but Brooklyn is Kyrie and KD.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've seen so many times before, especially in the playoffs, Kyrie and KD can be that guy. They can literally suit up and get you 50, hit your big shots. You got to do what you got to do.
I mean,
where we haven't really. I mean, no, not to discredit Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, like the bubble and all that kind of stuff, but I don't. The last time we saw Miami in the playoffs, they got swept first round by Milwaukee. I know there was injury issues and stuff like that, but I don't think as good as Jimmy Butler is, as much as I like Jimmy Butler, I don't know. Do you rely on him to be your star in a game against KD and Kyrie? Because Jimmy's also a very good perimeter defender, and while yes, I get Miami is a very good defensive team all around. Who are you going to put on KD? It's going to be PJ Tucker's on the team too, isn't he?
Yeah, the starting lineup is Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, and Bam Adebayo.
Right. Okay. So you put PJ Tucker on KD, but what do you do if KD's dropping 50 on his ass? You can't keep PJ Tucker on him. You got to switch to Jimmy.
I mean, either way, you figure about when the Nets played Brooklyn. When the Nets played Brooklyn. Yeah, when the Nets played Milwaukee, what happened? They stuck PJ Tucker on him, and it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't.
But then again, it's like, you can't expect PJ Tucker to always be able to hold his own against KD.
Yeah. And, you know what I mean? Yeah, the other thing is when you're playing in Miami, who do you stick Jimmy on Kyrie?
I think you have to because I don't know if Kyle Lowry is going to be able to hold himself up. Is he going to be able to hold his own on it?
Probably not, but then thinking about this, then who do you have? Duncan Robinson goes against Curry.
I don't think that's going to matter because I don't think it matters who's on Duncan Robinson. He's going to get torched.
I mean, they possibly might even play Tyler Hero and put him in the starting lineup.
I don't think that's much better defensively. And I think you want to keep Hero on the bench because he's more
Explosive.
yeah, he's your more consistent scorer that you're going to want coming off your bench instead of adding him into that starting lineup. Because then, you put Duncan on the bench who can shoot, but like that's kind of what Duncan is. He's a shooter,
Yeah.
right? Like I think you want somebody on your bench, your six man that can come in and create his own shot and be able to run like some offense.
I don't know how much this impacts it, but they do have Oladipo coming off the bench.
I, I don't know.
I know it's not like the old Oladipo, but it's still Victor Oladipo.
Even with that, I do like VO, but I think people look at his 1-2 year stretch and say that's who he is as a player. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
Like,
can't look at that.
if you look at his entire career, he really, I mean, like he hasn't been bad, but like he's been okay. You know what I mean? He's had the 1-2 years. He's an all-star, where it's like okay, but like is that Victor Oladipo or is that just him having good seasons, overachieving? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true. Looking at the statistics here, he's only played in 4 games and he's averaging 5.5 points per game.
Yeah, and he's coming off an injury, so they're kind of just bringing him back into the game. And like again, that's no disrespect to VO because I really do like him, but like I think people are like, well, he was an all-star once, so that means he's that good. You know what I mean? It's like
he's not.
You looked at it like look at Andrew Wiggins. Did he deserve to be an all-star starter? No. The reason he was is because there's actually no forwards in the West. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're not wrong about that.
The all-star selection thing, people got to stop taking it so like it matters that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and you also got to look at who's actually playing that position in that certain conference. I mean, you got LeBron in the West. I mean, I'm just trying to pull out some people that play small forward.
But no, I would look more at VO in the East because he made it when he was in Indiana, right?
He might have. It might have been Indiana.
I'm like 99% sure it was when he was in Indiana.
I'd bet on it.
So probably. Look at the Eastern Conference guards at that point in time. Kyrie, okay. Now I just gotta kind of remember back that time frame.
What year was it?
That's probably like 2017, 2018. I'm assuming back in that.
So Kyrie would have been on the Celtics.
I would just look up. Right? Hold on, I can find this out for sure. While I look this up. So he was the All-Star. His first season with Indiana.
What year was that?
I think it was 2018, 2019. Let me double check that. I'm going to guess it was the season 20. Or no, that's 20. Oh, okay. It would have been 2017 because he was averaging 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists.
You're saying the 2017, 2018?
Yes. Okay. I mean, he's had a couple of 20-point seasons, but like, again, like I said, I'm not saying he's a bad player by any means, but I think people start to overrate him, and like it feels bad to say because
they overhype him,
or they're like, I think they expect All-Star Oladipo again, and I just don't think All-Star VO is legit.
I bet that was when they did it because they were about, I think, a 5 seed in the East. So that's probably about when they did it.
I mean, 2017 is a while ago. I don't quite remember what the league was looking like, but
I had to go back and actually look.
Anyway, but we're getting way off track of what we were doing.
Yeah.
Here. The Heat versus the Nets. Who do you have winning that matchup?
I think it gets drawn out, but I think I don't think they can in Miami. They're not going to be able to hold KD and Kyrie. One of them is going to go off. I think it's going to come down to 7 games, at least 6. But if it goes 7, it's going to the Nets. That Miami has to win it in 6. They cannot give the Nets that game 7 in Miami.
Yeah,
If you know what I'm saying.
I think I agree with you. I think, Miami fans aren't going to like this, but I just think, and Miami's obviously one of the best teams in the league. They're the one seed. You know what I mean? That's not.
Yeah,
But I just think they have a really, really poor first round matchup for them.
they do, especially because of the circumstances we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so I think I would agree and give that one to the Nets. One seed out early, that's crazy. But hey, I can't say I disagree with it.
I mean, the only way I see Miami moving on is if they can win in 6 games or less, which is going to be very, very difficult because you cannot give Katie and Kyrie that game 7 in Miami with how they've been playing on the road.
Yeah, and I mean the Nets are at this point in time only 2.5 games behind the Raptors, so there's a chance the Nets jump the Raptors, and then then I would take Miami, but it just the way they're set up now.
Yeah.
So we can move on to the 2 versus 7, which is the Bucks versus the Raptors.
I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep. I think it's going to go 6 games, but I think Milwaukee's going to win because even with Spicy P, Giannis is going to do Giannis type things, and you're not going to stop him.
I legitimately think Giannis is going to almost neutralize Pascal.
Oh, yeah, guaranteed, because they're going to line Pascal up on Spicy P.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to run Giannis on Spicy P. That's what I meant.
Yeah, and then you put I'm guessing you put Middleton on Scotty, which I mean Middleton's not a bad defender. I don't exploit. And then you have Drew Holiday on Freddie, and and that's just the Bucks defense alone. I think they just kind of shut down that offense, and not to even mention that on the Bucks offense, Pascal is not going to stop Giannis.
Oh, hell no.
Scotty, I mean, like we talked last episode, Middleton's either on or it could be off. I mean, if Middleton is going to have a Chris Middleton game in this series, he's going to have that game where he goes off for 30. You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's just kind of what he does. And
it
Drew Holiday's
happens.
been one of the best fourth quarter players in the league this season.
Hot take right here. I'm gonna say that Drew Holiday averages over 2 steals per game in this series, over 8 assists, and about 15 points.
That's gonna be a crazy series, but hey. But yeah, I'm definitely taking the Bucks in 5. Bucks in 5.
Yeah, I mean, and even then, if you look at the Bucks' second lineup, you got George Hill, Wesley Matthews, Grayson Allen, Bobby Portis, and Brook Lopez. And then you still got Serge Ibaka to come out. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this team is built to go deep.
Yes. Okay, so now we have the 3 versus the 6, which is Philly against Cleveland. Philly has been not very good as of quite recent. It started with the Brooklyn game. Then they beat the Magic in overtime, but that was a very, very poor game.
I think
to Denver.
I think Wendell Carter had like almost 20 rebounds that game.
Yeah, and Cole Anthony was giving them the work.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think
this one is actually tougher than I think people are actually willing to admit.
I think it's going to be a hard fought, but I still think Philly's going to come out on top of this one.
I think the key point in this is going to be Jared Allen versus Joel Embiid, or Evan Mobley versus Joel Embiid, because
they're gonna put. I think they'll slide Jared be playing Embiid. Mobley,
I can.
I mean, they'll have Mobley on Tobias probably, or if you want to use Mobley more as like a help inside with Joel Embiid, you put somebody like Isaac Okoro on Tobias Harris. Because that's kind of all Isaac does is play defense. I think, or maybe you put Isaac out on Harden, which I don't know if that's gonna. I mean, like, I think that's the thing for Cleveland right now is backcourt defenders. They don't really have anybody in that backcourt to get in front of James Harden. Now,
Yeah,
the question is going to be does it even matter? Because there's games where James Harden literally just cannot hit shots.
that's what I'm saying. Because in a 7-game series, I think you bank on Harden doing bad versus Embiid doing bad. So that's why I put. Wait, do they even have Jared Allen?
So I don't know his time frame to come back.
I was saying I'm looking at the starting lineup here. They got Darius Garland, Isaac or Core, Laurie Markkinen, Dean Wade, and Evan Mobley, but Dean Wade's out right now.
Mhm.
So that's a little tough on what they're going to do there. But if this is what they're playing with, I think Evan Mobley or they might even pull Ed Davis or
That would be it.
Moses Brown.
I don't think Ed Davis and Moses Brown are going to do anything with Joel Embiid. Honestly.
I mean, you're going to have to do something because you're going to have to pull Evan Mobley out, and depending on what goes on, you might not have Jared Allen.
Yeah, I that's why I just think this Cavs team just aren't. I don't think they're going to get past the 76ers.
With let's just put it like this. My prediction is 76ers are going to win. If they don't have Jared Allen, it's going to be 4 or 5. If Jared Allen is there, I think it's going to go 6.
Okay.
Just
So
because of
then-
that paint
good.
presence.
Yeah,
Because Jared Allen, in my opinion, is one of the best shot blockers in the league right now.
for sure. Sure. I just
And
don't
I
want to
think-
take too long in these first round matchups.
Yeah,
We got
yeah.
a while to go still. So next, the last of the first round in the East is the Bulls versus the Celtics.
You know my bias, but I'm trying to be
Yes.
unbiased right here. DeMar is having an MVP type season, but in my opinion, and looking at the stats, you could even possibly put in Tatum in that category too.
Yes. I think if I'm the Bulls, I don't feel comfortable going into this matchup.
No. If I'm the Celtics, I don't feel comfortable going into this matchup.
I think if you're the Celtics, you feel better than the Bulls do.
I do agree with that, but you're still not 100% cozy.
I think this is probably going to be the best first round matchup, and not even because it's the 4-5, but I think these teams are legit. I mean, the Bulls have been bad recently. I think people are starting to really fall off the Bulls because they've been bad recently. Which I mean, I don't know if
this Bulls team as a contender anyway, but
people start to forget they've been hooping their ass off the whole season. You know what I mean? I think teams are starting, or people are starting to be like, oh, the Bulls haven't been bad. I think someone's going to cakewalk it. I do have the Celtics coming out on top on this one, but I think this is going to be our. I think if any series in the first round is going to go to 7, it would be either Miami, Brooklyn, or Chicago, Boston.
I do think that the Celtics can come out on top. I do think it's going to be 7 games.
Mhm.
You got to figure what's the time frame on Lonzo?
I can put up.
I don't know
Because if he's going to be back, it's going to be.
They've been so bad defensively. I mean, Alex Caruso comes back. Now they're saying Patrick Williams could come back before Lonzo does. So that'd be great for Chicago to have Lonzo and Patrick Williams.
I just don't know defensively matched up for the Celtics. You're gonna put Rob Williams on Nikolai, but then the other thing is what do you do with Al Horford? Do you put him on Nikolai and then put Rob Williams on DeMar? Do you just play a lot of switch defense? That's gonna be the tough matchup, but I do think Celtics come out on top.
Okay, so right here it says Lonzo Ball will likely be the next Bull to return from injury. According to Billy Donovan, Ball is doing running and lateral work, but not at full speed. The team won't be able to determine a return date until the guard can go full speed. So they're gonna
Back by playoffs.
Yeah, they'll definitely. I think they'll try to push him back by the playoffs, especially playing a team like Boston. I think if they would have had a little bit easier first round matchup, you might see them rest them. But I think they know they need to win this series. It's gonna be a hard series. They need all the defensive help they can get, especially because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Boston's been a top 5 defense the past couple of months.
Yes, ever since the either All-Star break or since the New Year started, Boston has just been a menace on defense.
Mhm.
I mean, Boston right now is their opponent points per game is the second lowest behind the Cavs by 0.1 points. And they have the highest differential in points per game compared to opponent points per game at 5.6.
Yes. All right, so we'll go into the second round here, which is going to be, I guess, the 8-seeded Brooklyn Nets against that would be the Celtics.
I think it's going to come down because you're going to be playing in Boston in the Garden. You're going to be playing in TD Garden.
Mhm.
I just in Brooklyn, KD's going to do KD type things. We all know that.
I think KD's going to do KD things no matter where he is.
You know what I mean. But in Brooklyn, they're not going to have Kyrie, depending on what goes on with the whole vaccine mandate and everything like that.
I think New York said they're keeping it.
So we're just going to go off of that. So then Kyrie's not going to be playing at home. I think Boston, if they can if they can go 2-0 at home to start the series out, or even get one game, and take at least one in Brooklyn, this is going to be a good series. I think it's going 6 or 7, but I got the Celtics over top because they're going to have their best two players pending injury. They're going to have their best two players in the whole series.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick Boston too. So then, let's see here. That leaves the threes. Okay. Where are we at here?
3 and 2?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yes. So that would be the Bucks Sixers.
That's tough.
I'm going to say Bucks.
I'm going to agree with you on that. My reasoning, maybe the same as yours, but Giannis against Embiid is going to be one of the best matchups in this entire playoffs, in my opinion.
Yes. I don't know if that'll be a matchup, though, to be honest with you. I don't know how they're going to run that. I think if you're Milwaukee, I don't think you want to run that. I don't think you want to run Giannis on Embiid.
I mean, the only other option you have is either Bobby Portis or Brook Lopez.
Because I think Brook Lopez would be ideal. Obviously, they're not going to stop Embiid, but I think if you have Giannis putting all of his effort on stopping Embiid, he's gonna suffer on the offensive end.
That is true. And the other thing is I think that the Bucks defensive game is better than the 76ers defensive game.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you put Holiday on Harden, which is probably going to be the matchup, I feel like Holiday is going to force Harden to have a bad shooting game at least 2 or 3 games in the series.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm going to take the Bucks on that one.
Yeah. I mean,
so that leaves the Eastern Conference Finals, which is the Bucks Celtics.
I just matchup wise for the Celtics versus Bucks, it's going to be Al Horford and Rob Williams trying to deny Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's going to be. And then you're probably going to have Smart on either Holiday or Middleton. Probably Holiday, and then you're probably going to put Brown on Middleton. And then you're just going to fill in the rest. That's what I think they're going to do. It's hard to say. This is going to be a tough one.
I'm going to have to go with the Bucks on this one. I think for where Boston started the season and how poor they were playing, I think making the Eastern Conference Finals is going to be fantastic for them. I don't know. I just have a hard time in my heart picking
going against Giannis.
Yeah. Now that could be, that could be the bias of him just winning a championship, but I just think that Milwaukee team is just built so much better as a team than Boston is.
Do you think they go back to back?
I don't know about that, but I think they're the favorites right now in the East. Well, I don't know if they're the favorites right now.
They're up there.
I think like the playoff matchup wise, they could make it back. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna go with the Bucks. The sole reason is most if they go 7 games, they're gonna be playing in Milwaukee,
Uh-huh.
and I just don't think that the Celtics can take at least 1 game in Milwaukee because I feel like both teams win at home court, the home court advantage, and it comes down to that 7th game. Celtics may make a run, but I got Bucks.
Yeah.
It hurts me. It hurts me to say that, but I got Bucks.
So we have the Bucks making it to the finals in the East. So now we'll jump over west. The Lakers and Pelicans, 9 and 10 seed.
That's tough.
I think LeBron's going to give you a LeBron game, and I think the Lakers going to win that. CJ and Brandon Ingram have been great. Zion,
if he comes back,
I don't think he's going to come back this season at all.
Probably
I
not.
think he'll just wait till next season. I don't.
Let's just put it like this. I think we can both agree on if it ended like this. I think Minnesota's getting the 7th seed, and the Lakers are getting the 8th seed.
Yes, I agree with that because I don't think Paul George is going to be playing. Obviously, Kawhi's out. Powell's had an injury now too. I just think. I mean, so before we jump that ship, Lakers or Pelicans?
Lakers.
Okay,
I just think LeBron's going to do LeBron things for at least this 1 game. It's LeBron.
We already kind of answered them, the Timberwolves, Clippers, 7-8, because I agree with you. I think the Timberwolves are going to beat the Clippers because I think the Clippers have been playing very good team ball considering their best 2 players have been out. A lot of people, when Kawhi was going to be out, people were like, oh, this team's probably not going to be good, but Paul George is going to do what he can. Now, Paul George has been out forever now. And I think people thought this team is just going to absolutely fall apart and just be bad. And Reggie Jackson was like, nah, bro, I'm going to do what I got to do. And which is fine, but Reggie Jackson is not beating Ant, D'Lo, and Cat.
Yeah, he's going to need help from the supporting crew. But hell, Cat just went off for 60 the other night.
The Cat. Congrats. The first center to do it since Shaq.
Yeah, they don't have someone that can guard him, in my opinion.
No.
You can throw Harold on him if they still even have Harold.
No. They've not had Montrez for a while now.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that because
he went to the Lakers last season, and then wasn't good there. Then he got traded in the Russell Westbrook trade to Washington, and then he's in Charlotte.
Yeah, I don't follow the West a whole lot.
Well, you heard it here, folks. No, but okay. So we have the 7 and 8 seed being the Lakers and Timberwolves.
Yeah, Timberwolves 7, Lakers 8.
Yes. So then we have the same matchup as the first round last year. Suns, Lakers. And I think personally it's going to be a repeat of history. I think the Suns are going to beat the Lakers again in the first round.
Probably. The Suns have just been playing phenomenal. Their differential in points per game has been a plus 8.1. They've been playing good defense. They have not had over 10 losses at home or away. They're 29 and 8 at home, 26 and 6 away. I do think the Lakers, with LeBron being LeBron, take 1 or 2 games, but ultimately I think the Suns advance.
I mean, my God, right now in the standings, Lakers are 25 and a half games behind the Suns.
Yeah, I think the Lakers get a game or 2 because
I know Chris Paul and Devin Booker have both been in and out with injuries, but I just think the Suns team is just all around better. Even if Anthony Davis comes back, he made those comments the other day saying that Phoenix knew that if he was playing last playoffs, they would have lost. It was a really weird comment for him to say, but I do think the Suns are the better team, just kind of cut and dry, and they'll beat the Lakers first round. Again.
Probably. I mean, especially since the series is going to be in Phoenix, and the Lakers are 9 and 22
and I think
away.
LeBron's starting to mentally check out of this season because you saw him. Was that last night or the night before? They could not get the rebound. They gave it like
and
4.
He was cussing,
slamming the ball against the ground.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can tell he's really just starting to lose it with this team right now.
I think he's ready to go into next season and I think he's just ready to play with Bronny and then retire.
So
Then we
I
have
mean,
the
he even
2-7. Okay.
what was that?
but no, I said I think that's what's going to happen. I think he even hinted at him wanting to play with Bronny, and I think his contract is up when Bronny gets drafted. So I think he's going to play with Bronny for a season, and then he's calling it quits. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see. So next is the 2-7 matchup: the Grizzlies versus the Timberwolves.
That's tough.
I think. I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. and now he was first in DPOY last week, and then the standings came out this week, and he's not even top 3. I don't know what happened there because he's still been great.
My only thing is we're talking about Jaren Jackson Jr., but I think when Cat's on the perimeter, they're going to try and get Jaren Jackson Jr. on him. But when he's inside, don't forget, Memphis has Steven Adams.
Yep.
So I think inside, Cat is a very good offensive player, but Steven Adams is just a brick wall.
Yep, and
it's hard to get anything by him, so then you're going to rely on D'Lo.
Yeah, and Steven Adams is a strong-ass man. Like, he's
doing full court passes without even barely doing anything.
He's going to let Cat know he is there guarding him. He's not going to give him those soft buckets. And I just think I don't know. I have the Grizzlies in that one.
Yeah, I think 5 games, 6 games. I think Memphis takes it.
Okay, so then we have 3-6. You have Warriors Nuggets.
That one's tough. That one is tough because you don't really have anyone to guard Steph. But then again, you don't have someone to guard Jokic.
So at this point, I think you look at the better team, which is, obviously
the Warriors.
But yes, it's the Warriors. I mean, I would, you're running a lineup of, and now this isn't final, but this is what you could do. A lineup of Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Kuminga, Draymond. Now, obviously, they literally don't have anybody to put on Jokic anyway.
It's kind of just chilling, like the Celtics not having anyone above like 6'9".
Draymond is the best defender on that team, so I think if anybody's going to give you your best shot, it's going to be Draymond.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, the starting lineup for Nuggets. Now, this is just off of the ESPN.com. Monte Morris, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, Nikola Jokic. It's just, even off the bench, you got Austin Rivers, Brian Forbes, JaMychal Green,
Bryn
Forbes, and DeMarcus Cousins. I got to give it. I think it's going to be a tough series, but I think Warriors take it in the end.
I think the only hope Denver has is, for some reason, Curry just doesn't make his shots. I don't think that's going to happen for a whole series.
Not a whole series, but we have seen how he's been playing ever since he got that record.
Yeah. Okay. So then you have the 4-5, which is the Jazz and Mavericks. The Mavericks have been on a tear recently, where the Jazz have been kind of floating around 500 the past 10 or so games. At this point, I think you look at it as Utah doesn't really have any type of perimeter defense. Donovan's he's average, maybe slightly above average at defense. And then obviously you have a DPOY candidate and Rudy Gobert at the center. Then you have Royce O'Neal, who's decent perimeter defender. But the way obviously Luka, the biggest one right there.
Yeah.
Then Jalen Brunson's been playing really well this season, and ever since he got traded from Washington, Spencer Dinwiddie's been playing amazing. They could legitimately run a lineup of the three of them on the court at the same time, because both Dinwiddie and Luka are taller guards.
Yes, they are. And you also have Davis Bertans coming off the bench, and you have Maxi Kleber.
The problem is
Kleber. Sorry,
Kleber.
I don't really keep up with the Mavs that much.
This man's on a basketball podcast, but no. The problem is with Davis Bertans and Maxi Kleber is they're kind of similar players, and Davis Bertans literally can't shoot no more. He just can't shoot no more. I think it's gonna come down to if Dallas plays small it's really, really going to hurt the Jazz because you're going to have to take off. You're going to have to take your second best player off the court, and Rudy Gobert, because he cannot. I mean, he's been better this year perimeter than years past, but better for Rudy Gobert is still not good.
And another thing to that is, even if Rudy Gobert, it's just hypothetical situation, he's playing good perimeter defense. He's not allowing stuff. The Mavericks have a secret weapon off the bench, and they haven't been playing him a lot.
Dorian
They got a secret weapon. No. Boban Marjanovic.
Oh, yeah.
The 7'3" beast out of Serbia.
Yeah.
That would be a battle of the bigs down low. Rudy versus Boban.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be tough. You're gonna need Donovan to have his normal Donovan playoff. You're gonna need him averaging 30 plus this round to even have a chance. But who do you have, Jazz or Mavericks?
I gotta go Mavericks just because it's Luka, and you don't really have anyone that can guard Luka.
I think the Mavs win, and I think you see Donovan Mitchell start becoming very unhappy in Utah.
I think he borderline either try. I hate saying this.
Hey, him and Rudy had a bit of a friction there when Rudy kind of shut down the whole league. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying he's going to get moved, but if Donovan, I wouldn't be shocked if I see a report that Donovan wants out of Utah.
The other thing is for the Jazz to go small, who are they putting at center? Royce O'Neal, Eric Pascal. Like who do you put down there? And I mean, looking at the Jazz's bench, I mean, you got Hassan, Rudy Gay, Jordan Clarkson.
Put Rudy Gay at center. Who cares?
I mean, if the Mavs are running small, I mean, do it. See if it works.
Yeah.
It's just I got the Mavs.
Okay, so then we'll move on to next, which would be the 1 and the 5. So Suns versus Mavericks.
That one is going to be tough. I
think fully healthy, the Suns team wins.
Probably.
Because it's been proven multiple years in a row now, Luka needs a second star. Not that he needs one to be successful like in his own right, but for that team to be successful, they need to put something next to Luka, so it's not the Luka show. And it's like going into like years past, it was supposed to be Kristaps, but obviously that didn't work out. And are you going to rely on Spencer Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson to be those guys in a potentially a 7-game series? I don't think you do. I don't think they're solidified.
You can't, and even though we're not looking at it, you got to look at the 4 and the 5, because the Suns, I think, have Jay Crowder running the 4, and then Ayton at the 5. If Ayton gets into that Shaq mentality, they can't stop him unless they bring Boban on the court.
And I don't think that's even going to matter because Ayton's just way more athletic than Boban and be able to get around him. But I think people also forget is, as much as people talk about CP3, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton, they legitimately have a deep point candidate as well at that starting small forward spot in Mikal Bridges. Every night he gets the number one scoring matchup pretty much. You put Mikal on Luka, Luka's still going to do Luka things, but I think you're going to see that's when if you're the Mavs, you're going to have to rely on somebody like Dinwiddie or Brunson because Mikal's going to be on his ass.
Oh, yeah.
And I think just if you go into a series and you're like, if you're the Suns going into this series, and you're like, we're going to make Spencer Dinwiddie beat us, or we're going to make Jalen Brunson beat us, I think you are the heavy favorites in that series.
Yeah, I got to go with the Suns because of that. And with the whole Bridges Depoy talks, he's up there in the talks, but I think when it comes down to it, he's going to get hit with that like Marcus Smart type deal.
Yeah.
You're picking up the best offensive player, but you're not really getting the eye-popping stats that you need to get. Like, you're not getting a block and a half, 2 blocks a game with 2 steals or whatever the case may be. You're just not getting the stats.
Okay, so then we have the now 2-3 of the Grizzlies Warriors.
I think I got the Warriors, but I think the Grizzlies give them a run for their money.
I think so too. I think in the playoffs is when you're going to start seeing the inexperience of the Grizzlies coming through. The playoff inexperience.
I think the only person on the Grizzlies that actually has decent playoff experience, I think it's Steven Adams.
Yeah, because like they were in the play-in tournament last year, or did they make the first round last year?
I'm not 100% sure. They might
But-
have made first round, but lost immediately.
Yeah, I think this Memphis team is going to be great for years and years and years to come. I just don't think they're there yet to compete.
Don't get us wrong. It's gonna be close.
Oh yeah, I think
I
this is going to be a 6-game series.
I think if I could agree with you 6 games, but if Memphis forces that game 7, there's a chance that they could win.
For
I'm
sure.
not saying that they're gonna, but
I
if they
could
can
see
force
Memphis
7.
walking in here and winning for sure. But I just think I think the Warriors are the better team right now, and I would
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna pick the Warriors.
Me too. But there's always that possibility.
Okay, so now we have the conference finals of the West, which is the Suns Warriors.
See, now this is gonna get a little bit tricky because we could have a finals matchup repeat.
Yeah, but that's next step. We're about the Suns Warriors right now.
Who's the I got Suns. My main reason is you could put Chris Paul on Curry. I think that's the matchup they're going to do. Then you take Bridges, put him on Clay.
Nope. I think they should Mikal on Curry.
You think Mikal on Curry, but then
because Klay Thompson is still not himself. I mean, I know he just had the big game the other night, but I don't want to say waste, but I don't think you put your best perimeter defender on a guy that's still coming back from multiple leg injuries.
So you're saying put Mikal on Curry, Booker on Thompson, and then Chris Paul on Wiggins?
I think you're going to see
something
a lot
to that
of
effect.
I think you're going to see a lot of hybrid. I think because CP3 is not a bad defender himself.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see a lot of hybrid of those top 3 guys all getting switched around a lot. I think you're going to see people like CP3, Booker, and Mikal working across Curry, Thompson, and Wiggins. I don't think you're going to see this guy be on this guy. And this guy, I think you're going to see the 3 of them are going to be switching around all over the place.
Yeah. And I do give my edge to the Suns because of the fact that their home and away records are just superior to about everybody in the league, especially away, going 26-6.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they can take the first 2 games in Phoenix and then steal a game at Golden State, they could win it in 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to go
about.
Well,
yeah, it's all about that getting at least 1 game in Golden State, so you're not going back home tied up 2-2.
Yep. Okay, so then, yeah, I guess it's going to be a finals matchup, a rematch. I don't know. I genuinely don't know if it's going to happen this way because seedings are probably going to change a little bit. But just as a scenario we are at now, if the playoffs started now, I think we worked out a Suns Bucks finals.
But we could also easily, if we just look at our top 4, we could easily have a Warriors Bucks or a Celtics Suns.
I think Miami could slide in there if they don't get Brooklyn early.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, it just comes down to, in our scenario right here, I'm talking about our scenario right here, it's going to come down to that 6th, 7th game for the Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals.
So, Suns Bucks rematch. Who do you got?
I think Bucks are gonna repeat, and Giannis is gonna get Finals MVP again, and then go out the next day and get some Chick-fil-A.
You know what? I think I'm gonna give this one to the Suns. I don't see the same matchup going the same way multiple years in a row.
The whole factor is it's Giannis. Who are you gonna put on Giannis to stop him?
For sure, and that's yeah, for sure. That's gonna be tough too. But I think this Suns team. I mean, obviously, recently they've dealt with some injuries, but I think the Suns team this year is better than the Suns team last year. Especially now that you've got people like D-Book, Ayton, Bridges. I mean, Bridges broke out this season in terms of. I mean, he's always been good at defense, but he really stepped up his game this year.
Yeah, taking on the best offensive player on the other team and kind of holding his own.
Jalen Smith kind of broke, or is he even on the team? I thought I heard trade rumors about him, but he kind
I'm
of
looking at the depth chart right now for the Suns. Let's give it a second. So right now,
he's on the Pacers. That's right. I forgot he got part of that trade.
Give or take a couple people on here. The starting lineup for the Suns is Cameron Payne, Booker, Bridges, Jay Crowder, and Ayton. But I do think this year, if Ayton does get into foul trouble, they do at least have another big man that could come in and help out a little bit in JaVale. But then again, it's JaVale.
So, I don't know. I mean,
it could go either way because we've seen how last year went.
Yeah, and I mean, Paul will be back for the playoffs about probably. So
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about that. I think like I said, I think the Suns are a better team this year than they were last year, and I think in the finals last year, you saw, like I mentioned about the Grizzlies earlier. I think you saw the playoff inexperience. I think they won the first two games, and subconsciously they started crowning themselves as the champions already. And I don't want to say they let up, but I think they started to kind of get into that motion of, oh man, like we only got two games where we're gonna win. Where Milwaukee was like backs against the wall, they were fighting for their life, and I think their extra effort is what proved to win the series for Milwaukee. But I think this year coming back, I mean, obviously Giannis is always going to bring his 100%. He always does. I just think Phoenix is going to be have a more drive to win, especially after losing last year.
I think it's.
I don't know. I think the Suns are going to pull this one out.
I see what you're saying, and it's just hard to go against the depth that the Bucks have compared to the Suns. But I do think it's going to come down to how much Devin Booker wants this championship. I think that's the bottom line, what it's going to come down to. How much does Devin Booker want to win a championship?
I think same thing with Chris Paul.
Yeah, because CP3, he's getting up there in age, isn't he?
Oh, my gosh. He's like LeBron's age. Almost.
That is true. I think he's like, 34?
No, he's older than that, I'm pretty sure.
35? I know he's a little bit younger than LeBron, I think.
I think so.
But he's still up there in age.
36.
36. Yeah, I think Paul's going to play a giant role in it. But I think ultimately it's going to come down to how much Devin Booker wants to win a championship this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that about does it.
Yeah. I have the repeat of last year. We have different opinions who's going to win. But, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we're definitely going to revisit this once the standings are locked in for the playoffs, do it like a more accurate one. But I just thought it'd be fun to give our potential takes before the playoff starts, because that way, if we end up being right, then, hey, we called it like a month before the playoff starts.
Hey, and I don't know about you, Paul, but when the playoffs do start, I'd like to coordinate something and then get Cole in here to have his input, so it's not just me versus you. We can have a tie break in here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know on like 2 or 3 of them, we disagreed a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Duos. Yep. Oh, yeah, definitely. And look which duo is doing a little bit better right now.
I will give you that.
Harden's been getting locked up by his own damn self.
That is true. But if you made it this far and you're watching this on the YouTube, comment down below who you have winning the finals, and if you can't pick a team, do you have Bucks or Suns?
Yes. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You have anything else you want to add to this?
I mean, not really. I think the seedings are pretty much locked up. The only thing we may see is Portland sneaking in there at the 10 seed to play against the Lakers in the play-in. I don't know. It's just gonna, and then the seeding. I don't know. I think Dallas takes a 4 seed by the end of this, and I think the Celtics get to at least a 4 seed as well, maybe even the 3 seed.
All right. Well, we shall see. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any ideas, again, leave in the comment section along with your final predictions, and we will see you guys later. It's been Jay, and that's been G over there.
Y'all have a good day.
Peace.